I was standing in a crowded restaurant, staring at a birthday cake covered in 37 candles, when my entire life cracked open. "Make a wish, sweetheart," my mother said with a smile. Everyone laughed. My husband squeezed my hand. My best friend raised her glass. The restaurant staff began singing. It should have been a perfect night. Instead, I noticed a woman sitting alone near the back window. She couldn't stop staring at me. Not casually. Not the way strangers sometimes do. Her eyes were filled with tears. When our eyes met, she looked away so quickly that she nearly knocked over her coffee. A strange chill ran through me. Then my mother saw her too. The smile disappeared from her face. For the first time in my life, I watched my mother look genuinely afraid. Not uncomfortable. Afraid. The woman stood up and hurried toward the exit. My mother suddenly grabbed my wrist. Hard. Too hard. "Emily, don't." I stared at her. "Don't what?" But she was already looking toward the door. The woman was gone. And my mother looked like she'd just seen a ghost. At the time, I had no idea that moment would lead me to discover the biggest secret of my life. A secret that would make me question everything I thought I knew about the woman who had raised me. The woman who never missed a birthday. Not one. Not ever. My mother, Margaret Carter, had built her entire life around loving me. Every birthday was an event. Every Christmas was magical. Every school play, every graduation, every heartbreak. She was there. Always. When my father died of a heart attack 12 years earlier, she had somehow become even more devoted. People used to joke that she loved me enough for two parents. I believed them. That's why what happened after my birthday felt so impossible. 3 days later, I stopped by her house unexpectedly. I still had a key. As I walked toward the kitchen, I heard her talking on the phone. Her voice sounded tense. Almost desperate. "I know," she whispered. A pause. "I can't keep this hidden forever." My footsteps froze. Hidden? What was she talking about? Another pause. Then she said something that made my stomach tighten. "Emily can never find out." Silence. My heart pounded. Emily. Me. I accidentally bumped into a chair. The sound echoed through the kitchen. The conversation immediately stopped. When my mother appeared in the doorway, she looked startled. "Emily?" She quickly ended the call. Too quickly. I forced a smile. "Who were you talking to?" "No one important." The answer came instantly. Almost rehearsed. No one important. Yet she'd been whispering my name. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the conversation. Emily can never find out. Find out what? For weeks afterward, little things began piling up. Tiny details. Strange moments. Pieces that didn't seem important individually. But together? They felt wrong. One afternoon, I visited her house while she was grocery shopping. I was looking for an old recipe she'd promised to give me. While searching through a kitchen drawer, I found an envelope. My name was written on it. The handwriting wasn't hers. Curious, I opened it. Inside was a photograph. A picture of me as a newborn baby. Someone had written a message on the back. "My beautiful daughter. I will come back for you someday." The date was only 2 weeks after I was born. I stared at the words. Confused. My beautiful daughter. Why would someone else call me their daughter? A knot formed in my stomach. When my mother returned home, I asked about it. Her face turned pale. "Where did you find that?" The question came out sharper than I expected. "In the drawer." She grabbed the photo. Almost snatched it. "It's nothing." Nothing? Someone had called me their daughter. How was that nothing? That night I drove home with my mind racing. The next morning I called my best friend, Rachel. Something's wrong. What happened? I told her everything. The woman at the restaurant. The secret phone call. The photograph. Rachel fell silent. Finally she spoke. Emily, have you ever considered that your mother might be hiding something about your birth? I laughed immediately. A nervous laugh. No. But the truth was, the thought had already entered my mind. And once it entered, I couldn't get rid of it. Over the next month, things became worse. Much worse. My mother started disappearing. Not constantly. Just enough to feel strange. Every Tuesday afternoon. Every single Tuesday. When I called, she never answered. When I asked where she'd been, she always had a vague explanation. Shopping. Meeting friends. Running errands. None of it felt believable. One Tuesday, curiosity got the better of me. I followed her. I hated myself for doing it. But I did it anyway. I watched her drive across town. Past the shopping district. Past the grocery stores. Past everything she'd claimed to visit. Eventually she pulled into a cemetery. My chest tightened. I parked several rows away. Then watched her walk toward a grave I had never seen before. She stood there for almost an hour. Talking. Crying. Holding flowers. When she finally left, I approached the headstone. And my entire body went cold. The grave belonged to a young woman. Born in 1965. Died in 1989. The inscription read, "Forever loved. Forever missed. Mother." I stared at that final word. Mother. Mother. Why would my mother spend every Tuesday visiting a grave marked mother? And why had she never told me about it? That night I confronted her. Not aggressively. At first. I saw you at the cemetery. The color drained from her face. You followed me? Who is she? Tears immediately filled her eyes. But she wouldn't answer. Mom, who is she? She looked away. I can't. Can't? Or won't? For the first time in my life, I felt anger toward the woman who raised me. Real anger. Because every answer led to more questions. Every clue pointed toward the same terrifying possibility. What if Margaret Carter wasn't my mother? And what if everyone around me had known except me? I didn't realize it then. But I was already standing at the edge of a truth that would destroy my heart. And the next clue would make the betrayal feel undeniable. The next clue arrived 5 days later. And it shattered whatever doubt I still had. I was helping my mother organize old paperwork in her basement when she received a phone call. The moment her phone rang, she looked nervous. When she saw the caller ID, she became pale. Emily, would you mind bringing those boxes upstairs? Her voice sounded forced. Before I could answer, she stepped outside. The basement window was open. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop. At least that's what I told myself. But then I heard her say something that froze me in place. She suspects something. My heart stopped. A long silence followed. Then she spoke again. No. Emily still doesn't know who her real mother was. The world seemed to tilt beneath my feet. Real mother. Real mother. I stood there unable to breathe. Every sound around me disappeared. The only thing I could hear was my heartbeat pounding inside my ears. My real mother. The words echoed over and over. When my mother came back downstairs, I pretended to be sorting papers. I don't know how I managed to look normal. Inside, I was falling apart. That night I sat in my car outside my house for nearly an hour before going inside. My husband, Daniel, immediately noticed something was wrong. What happened? I looked at him. Then I started crying. Not graceful tears. Not quiet tears. The kind that come from somewhere deep. The kind you can't stop. I told him everything. The phone calls. The photograph. The cemetery. The grave. The conversation. All of it. When I finished, Daniel looked stunned. Neither of us spoke for several seconds. Finally, he said the words I had been trying desperately not to think. What if she's not your biological mother? Hearing someone else say it out loud broke me. Because deep down, I already believed it. Over the next 2 weeks, I became obsessed. I hated myself for it. But I couldn't stop. Every memory from my childhood suddenly felt suspicious. Every family story. Every photograph. Every explanation. Everything. Then I found something that made the situation even worse. I was searching through old family albums when I noticed several pages had been removed. Entire sections. Missing. Not damaged. Removed intentionally. Who removes photographs from family albums? And why? I carefully examined the remaining pictures. That's when I noticed her. The same woman. The woman from my birthday dinner. She appeared in several old photographs. One picture showed her holding me as a baby. Another showed her standing beside my mother at a picnic. Another showed her smiling while holding balloons at what looked like my first birthday party. My hands began shaking. Who was she? And why had nobody ever mentioned her? That evening I took the photographs to my Aunt Carol. My mother's older sister. The one person in the family who was terrible at keeping secrets. The moment she saw the pictures, her expression changed. She looked terrified. Not surprised. Terrified. Aunt Carol. She wouldn't meet my eyes. Who is this woman? Silence. Aunt Carol. She swallowed hard. Then tears appeared. And in that moment, I knew. I knew she was hiding something. Please tell me. She closed her eyes. I can't. The exact same answer my mother kept giving. I can't. Not I won't. I can't. The difference haunted me. What was so horrible that nobody could tell me? That night I barely slept. The next morning, I made a decision. I was going to find the woman myself. Using social media, public records, and old addresses from the photographs, I spent days searching. Eventually, I found her. Her name was Sarah Monroe. She lived less than 40 minutes away. 40 minutes. My entire body trembled when I realized it. For 37 years, this woman had apparently existed just outside my life. The following Saturday, I drove to her house. The entire drive felt unreal. I kept rehearsing what I would say. What if she was my biological mother? What if she had abandoned me? What if my mother had lied to me my entire life? By the time I parked outside the house, I was shaking. I almost turned around. But I didn't. I walked to the front door and knocked. A few moments later, it opened. Sarah stared at me. And immediately started crying. Not confusion. Not surprise. Recognition. Instant recognition. That terrified me more than anything. Oh my God, she whispered. Her hand covered her mouth. The tears came faster. You look exactly like her. Her. Not me. Her. Do you know who I am? I asked. She nodded. Slowly. Painfully. Yes. My stomach dropped. Then tell me. She looked devastated. As if she'd been carrying a burden for decades. Emily. Hearing my name from her lips felt wrong. Somehow intimate. Somehow dangerous. Then she said the words that convinced me my mother had betrayed me. I promised I would never tell you. I felt physically sick. Promised who? Why? For what reason? Every clue. Every lie. Every secret. Every missing photograph. Every hidden conversation. Every Tuesday visit to the cemetery. Everything suddenly seemed connected. I left before she could explain. I was too angry to listen. Too hurt. Too convinced I already knew the truth. That night I drove straight to my mother's house. Rain hammered against the windshield. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tightly they hurt. Years of trust. Years of love. Years of believing she would never lie to me. All of it felt shattered. When she opened the front door, she immediately knew something had happened. Emily? I stepped inside. Holding the photographs. Holding the evidence. Holding 37 years of unanswered questions. My voice trembled. Not with fear. With heartbreak. Who am I? The color disappeared from her face. Emily. No. Tears filled my eyes. No more excuses. She looked like she might collapse. Please. Tell me the truth. Silence. The longest silence of my life. Then I asked the question I had been carrying for weeks. The question that finally broke her. Are you even my mother? She began crying. And when she couldn't answer immediately, I thought I had my answer. In that moment, I was 95% certain. The woman who had raised me. The woman who never missed a birthday. The woman I trusted more than anyone in the world. Had lied to me my entire life. What I didn't know was that the truth was far more painful than anything I had imagined. And when she finally revealed it, I would wish I could take back every accusation I had ever made. I stood in my mother's living room, trembling with anger and heartbreak. Rain battered the windows. The photographs lay scattered across the coffee table. The picture of the mysterious woman. The note. The missing pieces of my childhood. All of it. And for the first time in my life, I looked at my mother and didn't know who she was. She sat on the couch, tears running silently down her face. I had never seen her look so broken. Not even when my father died. Not even when she lost her job years ago. Nothing had ever reduced her to this. But at that moment, I wasn't feeling sympathy. I was feeling betrayed. Tell me the truth, I whispered. She lowered her head. Then she spoke. You're right. The words hit me like a punch. My chest tightened. My heart sank. She continued. I'm not the woman who gave birth to you. For a second, the room seemed to disappear. Everything went silent. The only thing I could hear was my own breathing. 37 years. 37 years of believing one thing. Gone. Just like that. I staggered backward. No. Fresh tears rolled down her cheeks. Emily. No. I couldn't stop shaking. You lied to me. She closed her eyes. And the pain on her face was almost unbearable. But I was too hurt to care. You lied every single day of my life. Then something unexpected happened. My mother nodded. Slowly. Sadly. As if she'd been waiting years to hear those words. Yes. The answer stunned me. No excuses. No defense. No attempt to justify herself. Just yes. For several seconds, neither of us spoke. Then she whispered something I never expected. I would do it again. I stared at her. What? She looked directly into my eyes. I would make the same choice again. The anger exploded inside me. How can you say that? Her voice cracked. Because it saved you. The room fell silent. Saved me? What did that mean? My mother stood and walked toward a small wooden cabinet. Her hands trembled as she opened it. From the bottom drawer, she removed a worn leather folder. One I had never seen before. She carried it to the table. Then placed it in front of me. Everything is in here. My hands felt numb as I opened it. Inside were letters, documents, hospital records, old photographs, and one death certificate. I looked down. The name made my heart stop. Anna Monroe. The woman buried in the cemetery. The woman whose grave said mother. My eyes widened. What is this? My mother's tears came faster. Anna was your biological mother. I felt dizzy. I sat down before my legs gave out. The room spun around me. The grave. The flowers. The Tuesday visits. Everything suddenly became real. Anna was my mother. My actual mother. The realization hurt more than I expected. But the next truth hurt even more. My mother pointed to an old photograph. In it, two young women stood together. One was Anna. The other was Margaret. My mother. They looked inseparable. Best friends. Like sisters. What am I looking at? My mother's voice shook. Anna and I met when we were 14. I stared at the picture. We grew up together. Another photograph. Another memory. Another piece of a life I never knew existed. We shared everything. She smiled sadly. Dreams. Secrets. Birthdays. Then her smile disappeared. When Anna got pregnant with you, she was scared. I listened silently. Your father disappeared before you were born. My chest tightened. Anna struggled. My mother looked away. She loved you more than anything. But she was very sick. The words landed heavily. Very sick. I looked back at the documents. Then I saw it. Medical reports. Hospital admissions. Diagnoses. Years of treatment. My biological mother had been fighting a serious illness before I was even born. The folder shook in my hands. My mother continued. After you were born, she got worse. Tears blurred my vision. One night she came to my apartment carrying you. My mother could barely speak now. She handed you to me. I felt my heart breaking. She said, if something happens to me, promise me she'll never feel abandoned. The room disappeared around me. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. I couldn't move. My mother looked at me. Not Margaret. Not the woman I'd been accusing for weeks. The woman who had spent 37 years loving me. Protecting me. Keeping a promise. 3 months later, she whispered, Anna died. The words shattered me. Completely. My biological mother hadn't abandoned me. She hadn't left. She hadn't chosen someone else. She had died. And suddenly every clue I'd discovered took on a completely different meaning. The grave. The flowers. The tears. The secret phone calls. The hidden photographs. Everything. My mother wasn't hiding a betrayal. She was protecting a promise. I covered my mouth and started crying. The kind of crying that comes from somewhere deep inside your soul. The kind you can't stop. And then came the truth that hurt the most. My mother reached into the folder and pulled out a stack of birthday cards. Dozens of them. Every year. Every birthday. Every single one. The handwriting belonged to Anna. I stared in confusion. How? My mother smiled sadly. Before she died, she wrote them. My breath caught. What? She knew she wouldn't get to watch you grow up. My entire body shook. So she wrote birthday messages for every year she thought she might miss. I opened one. Age 10. Another. Age 16. Another. Age 21. Every card filled with love. Every card written by a mother who knew she wouldn't be there. I completely broke. The guilt hit me all at once. Every accusation. Every angry thought. Every moment I believed the worst. I looked at Margaret. The woman who raised me. The woman who attended every school play. Every graduation. Every birthday. The woman who never missed a single moment. And suddenly I understood. She hadn't stolen my mother. She had become one. When nobody else could. I crossed the room and wrapped my arms around her. We both cried. For a long time. Neither of us speaking. Neither of us letting go. Eventually she whispered something into my ear. Something I'll never forget. Being your mother was the greatest honor of my life. That sentence broke whatever remained of my heart. Months later, Margaret and I visited Anna's grave together. For the first time. Not as strangers connected by secrets. But as family connected by love. We brought flowers. We read the birthday cards. We cried. We laughed. And before leaving, I placed my hand on the headstone. Then quietly said the words I should have spoken years earlier. Thank you. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for fighting for me. Thank you for trusting someone else to finish what you couldn't. As we walked away, I looked at Margaret. The woman who never missed a birthday. The woman who sacrificed her own future to keep a promise. The woman I had spent weeks accusing of betrayal. And I realized something that changed my life forever. Family isn't always the person who gives you life. Sometimes family is the person who gives up part of theirs so you can have one. And that is a kind of love so powerful that even the truth can't break it.